Good evening, everybody. This is a public hearing of the Jefferson County Commission regarding the proposed comments regarding the draft 2020 impact fee recalculation study. Mr. Roger Goodwin with County Engineer is here. He's going to provide us some brief detail and overview of what that is, what's going on, and then we'll open up to public comment. So Roger, it's all yours.
Okay. On December 3rd, 2020, Ben Griffin from Tischler Buys presented the 2020 Impact Fees Recalculation Study report. Recalculation study generally involves gathering data from each of the impact fee entities and determining the value of their assets. This is then used to determine the current level of service that's being provided by each impact fee entity. A calculation is then made to determine the amount of impact fees necessary to be able to maintain the same level of service, and then how the fees should be assessed. After the presentation of the recalculation study on December 3rd, the County Commission decided to hold a public hearing on the study. Staff's expectation would be that we're going to look for comments regarding the methodology and the figures used, et cetera. And then after the public hearing is closed, the County Commission may want to schedule a workshop with staff to discuss the options and what action they wish to take regarding the study moving forward.
All right, so Stephanie, I guess we've received numerous written comments that all commissioners have received. I know I've read them all. I'm assuming all the other commissioners saw them. So we'll continue receiving those written comments. So Stephanie, I'll kick this to you, and whoever's raising their hand, you can just go through it. This public hearing is strictly to hear from the public regarding impact fees and the draft report. The commissioners will not be asking questions tonight. We're here to listen to the public. Those questions will come at a later point with the workshop.
All right, so if anybody is interested in making public comment tonight, you just need to raise your hand, use the little raise your hand icon. And also, you could also send a chat to me. If you can't find the raise your hand icon, you can do it that way. And then I will call your name and unmute you. Then you need to unmute yourself, and then you'll be able to provide the public comment, provide your public comment. So I'm just going to go in order that I see them here on my screen. Our first person is Paul Marshall.
Well, thank you. That was fast. So I am a current Jefferson County Park and Rec Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about impact fees. I've been with Park and Rec, I think right about the time impact fees were first established here. And so I found them to be very beneficial. And so I have a short statement here. And essentially, parks, you guys can hear me okay, I assume? All right, thanks. Parks are a desirable amenity. I think that pretty much goes without saying. I was looking at Investopedia's Complete Home Buying Guide, which of course recites the common real estate mantra that location, location, location is why people are making decisions about buying homes. And a good location is defined by its neighborhood, and a great neighborhood is going to be accessible. It's going to be easy to get in and out of. It's going to have a good appearance, and it's going to have good amenities. And I think parks improve a location's appearance and the amenities. Obviously, places for people to go to recreate, for their kids to go and participate in sports and other things that are high value to community development. I think impact fees are a good way to fund park infrastructure development. I think it's an efficient way to fund park infrastructure development, especially. Impact fees, in general, they go directly to the development for which they're collected. So when you collect a park and rec impact fee, that money is going to go to making new parks and providing those amenities. So it's people understand clearly, and they can have an expectation that it's my solemn duty to fulfill that they will have, park amenities that they can use and will improve their neighborhood and their quality of life. Development of parks it creates, like other types of infrastructure, roads, sewer, it creates more buildable land. It increases property values overall. It increases the value of the homes that are put on those properties. So, so that the money that's provided by impact fees is going to support economic growth and development. And lastly, and maybe, just as important as the first two, Jefferson County Park and Rec is very good at using these impact fees as seed money for grants. So for the county commissioners who've been here for a while, I think you guys know that we get dollar for dollar and sometimes $2 for dollar cost matching. For instance, the Land and Water Conservation Fund. The Land and Water Conservation Fund just got funded in a big bipartisan manner during the final months of the Trump administration. It was called the Great American Outdoors Act, I believe. So they fully funded the Land and Water Conservation Fund for years.
Sir, sorry, your time's up.
Oh, I'm just done. I will just say this. So we match. I didn't realize I had a time limit. So we get matches from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So we double and triple the dollars that we get from impact fees, and we use that to buy parks and develop those amenities, playgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the reason I support the Park and Rec impact fee, and I appreciate your consideration. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. So Stephanie, we're going to hold this to 3 minutes like we usually do, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Just to reiterate for the next public speakers, please keep it to 3 minutes. We don't want to cut you off. If you go over a little bit, that's fine. Just when you hear it's 3 minutes, please wrap up.
All right, so our next commenter is David Hartley. Mr. Hartley, you should be able to make your public comment now.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Can't hear me.
We can hear you.
Hear you.
You just muted yourself.
You can hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay. Do you want to? How about now?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe if you have a problem again, it may be the connection, not the muting. I'm David Hartley with the Eastern Panhandle Home Builders Association, and we're a trade organization that represents businesses in the residential construction industry. We have about 200 members throughout the Eastern Panhandle, and these businesses collectively employ about 4,000 people. Residential contractors build homes for our communities. They provide jobs for our citizens and create a tax base for sales tax, real estate, personal property, and other business taxes. Housing is a major economic driver, and a healthy housing market also helps attract other businesses that bring additional jobs as well as tax revenue to local governments. We have concerns about the proposed increase in the impact fees from the Tischler revised study, especially on the single-family homes and the education impact fee, school impact fee. The majority of homes built in Jefferson County are single-family homes, so this has a significant impact on the home buyers. The addition of about $4,400 would mean an impact fee of over $11,000 if the study were to be adopted. That's a 65% increase over the current fee per single family home. And $11,000 has a big impact on making or breaking a potential buyer, depending on their situation in terms of qualifying for a mortgage for their home and a loan. While we recognize the significant contribution impact fees have made to Jefferson County over the last 15 years, we are concerned about the study's recommendations moving forward. The last 10 years, Jefferson County school enrollment has grown by a net of 97 students, and that's just under 10 new students per year. Enrollment for elementary schools is actually down by almost 400 students. Since the elementary schools provides future students for middle and high schools, that is a concern. The information suggests that impact fees should not be increased. Therefore, EPHBA urges the commission to not adopt increases in impact fees for Jefferson County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, our next person is Lee Snyder.
Good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I have some thoughts on the impact fee discussion. Paul Tischer Buys had a paper published in the American Planning Association magazine. The paper was entitled 20 Points to Know About Impact Fees. Number 2 states that impact fees pertain only to new capital facilities which are reasonably benefit the payer. This should mean the fees must be expended in the areas of the county where they are collected. Parks and Recreations, for example, has not done this, even spent the money. They have spent very little money on the mountain communities despite the growth occurring there. This point is reinforced in Tischer's point 12, which states, be familiar with the possible geographic service areas in order to comply with the rational nexus. This again supports the fact that impact fees should be spent to benefit the people paying the impact fees. If a particular area of the county does not want to grow, then why is that impact fee going to the lump sum to be distributed equally to that area? Population figures show less than 1% per year growth. This is low, so the longer the capital improvements list grows, because of the panacea of impact fees, the more the existing taxpayer should pay. The West Virginia Local Powers Act defines a growth county as a county basically at a growth rate of 1% per year over a 10-year period. Jefferson County may not even qualify as a growth county under that statement. Since the actual number is proposed, the project numbers, and the study suggests limited growth over the last 10 years, why are the projections then so high again? The higher the projections for school growth, the higher the impact fee seems to go. If the study is correct and there are only 97 net total students added in the last 10 years, why are the capital improvements needed? This does not mean that Ranson and Shepherdstown elementary schools are not needed, but these are replacement schools and the cost should not come out of impact fees. More flexibility seems to be permitted in reducing impact fees based on the size of the house. Affordability is now a factor countywide, and the need for housing for lower income families are now a priority, not an afterthought. The fees are too high for some categories and should be reduced based on the past 10 years of growth numbers, not considerably higher projections that are reflected than are in the actual numbers. The fees should be expended in areas where the houses are being built. Jefferson County growth numbers do not seem to even support impact fees, with an actual student increase well below 1% per year. If you need to keep impact fees, please explore lowering the fees considerably for smaller dwellings for affordability. Thank you. I will email my comments.
Thank you, sir.
All right, our next individual is Patricia Noland. Ms. Noland?
And can you hear me okay?
That is, but
Can you hear me?
yeah,
we hear you, Patsy.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm Patsy Nolan, just a regular citizen, and I want to thank you for hearing me tonight. And I believe this impact fee draft study is really poorly written. At the end of 2020, when the County Commission presented the first draft of the impact fee study, it was obvious that the consultant had not done their due diligence. I feel the same way about this report as I did the first one. I spent a lot of time looking over the first draft, and it was clear that the expected growth was overinflated. I believe this one is too. According to the report, student growth in the last 10 years amounted to about 9 new students per year. The new report projects that there will be about 129 new students per year. That doesn't make any sense. This new report appears to me to be just a quickly done report to come up with something, anything, to come up with a way to increase impact fees. In the school impact fee section, the consultant is asking you to believe that every new house that is going to be built is expected to have 4 school-age children living in it. I would ask each of you sitting on the commission right now to take a look at your neighbors and your friends' neighborhoods and to determine how many homes in your neighborhood or your friends' neighborhoods have 4 children or even 3 living in each household. I can travel several blocks around my home, and there is only 1 household in 25 that has 3 children living in it. The fact is that most households in my neighborhood have no children living in them because they've all grown up and moved away. Now, that's a really quick check and a practical exercise, but one that causes me to question the accuracy of the report. The commission would be much better off creating a fire board and ambulance authority to fund emergency services rather than asking only new homeowners to pay for those services that all county residents may use at some times in their lives. The taxpayers of this county have voted to increase the amount of taxes we pay so that we can build new schools. We need them. But how can we justify, excuse me, how can we now justify increasing impact fees for schools? The answer is we can't. I remember that the commission asked the consultants to consider the increase in taxes to pay for the new school bond in the new calculations. Well, they did. And rather than taking into consideration the additional taxes each of us are paying to build new schools, they decided to make new homeowners responsible to fund county administrative offices and a new school board office. Remember that new homeowners will be paying the additional taxes for the bond, as well as those of us that currently live in Jefferson County. As for Parks and Rec impact fees, I support them, and I can understand and agree to reasonable impact fees for Parks and Rec because everyone has the opportunity to use them, and I think we need that for our young people. Thank you very much for the time this evening and for considering my comments, and I'm happy to email my comments in as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Our next individual is David Letman. Mr. Letman, I have unmuted you, but you're still self-muted. Say again.
Slightly. A little bit. Can you have?
Stephanie, can I call back in and see if and pick me up later?
Sure.
Just want to come back to him, Stephanie. And
Yeah, I'll
just
come back to him. All right. Our next person is Kyle Carter.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to say something here. I will keep it pretty brief. I think that the last 2 speakers summed it up well. Other than that, you know, I've lived in Jefferson County my entire life. I have lived there for now almost 30 years, and I'm looking to bring my family back here permanently and move onto some land that's part of my family's property. And I think that, you know, while there is a place for impact fees to support some of the services that citizens use, and I think that is reasonable. I think that an over 50% or almost 50% increase in those fees, you know, based on some of the tenuous justification that we've recently heard and that's in this report, is it doesn't really support what is being proposed here. And I would just like to say that I think it's too high, and I don't think this should be accepted as it currently stands. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, sir.
Our next individual is Ann Mounts.
Hi, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
I can.
Great. Thank you. I want to say hello to Commissioner Compton and all of the new commissioners that we have who have just joined us. My name is Ann Mounts. I'm currently the Vice President of the Jefferson County Parks and Recreation Commission. I've been on that commission for almost 10 years now, and I've lived in Jefferson County for nearly 17 years now. I'm raising both of my kids here. And I want to reiterate a lot of what Parks and Rec Commissioner Paul Marshall said to open up these comments. Parks and Rec, I believe, has done tremendous work with the monies that we have received from impact fees. You see the development of Hyde Park. We've been able to put in playgrounds across the community at a number of different parks. And we have plans in the work for doing more with that. I know Commissioner Compton is often at our meetings at our liaison, and he sees that we are very fiscally conscious, very conscious that we are talking about using taxpayer money, and then we need to be very careful in how we make those choices of what we do with it. We work very hard to save that money up until we can use it in the most efficient way possible. One of those things includes, as Paul Marshall said, our director's wonderful work at finding grants, so that for each dollar of impact fee money that we use, we find another $1 or $2 or $3 even to magnify that money and put it back into the community. We see through this pandemic, we have seen how much people value parks and recreation. We've had so many people coming out to our parks, even though our buildings have been closed, people coming out to walk our trails, to get some fresh air, play disc golf, use the playgrounds as they can, and the programming that we've been able to do and provide the community. This helps so much to build the community mentally, as well as help the physical health of our community. And I think it's important that we understand that value as we work to invest in the community. And personally too, as a homeowner who's lived here 17 years, I hope that the impact of all the new homes doesn't come from everyone who's lived here a long time. We do need to have, if someone's moving here and building a new home, there is an impact from that addition, and they need to help out with that, and all of those costs can't fall on the people who've lived here for a longer period of time. And I might just note that where the fees currently are, we have a lot of new homes being built. I don't think that the development industry is currently being hurt by where we are. I would advocate potentially raising it somewhat for Parks and Rec. I think that we will put that money to good use. I do agree that with the current study that was put out, that perhaps that their recommendations are too high and aren't really feasible for the time being. But something going up, I think, that would be put to good use by Jefferson County Parks and Rec.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Mr. Letman and see if we can hear him now. Mr. Letman?
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Good evening. How are you? So I've spent the last few days studying the impact fee study that Tishler Bias did in 2015 and again in 2020. And I really encourage each of you commissioners to investigate this study much deeper. I believe that the facts that they portray in this, facts are, I think they're projection, they're not facts by any means, in the study are negligible and they're completely false without basis. One example would be in the 2015 study, the schools were projected to grow by 950 students in a 5-year period. During that 5-year period, there were actually no growth of students in the school system and a decline from 2015 to 2020 of 127 students. So that leads us to the question is, how can we increase impact fees when we're trending with less students in our school systems? To continue on that, where are the funds going? So if we had less students in the last 5 years in our school systems by 127 individuals, and they've collected 5 years of impact fees, where has that money gone? Are they using it for renovations and maintenance costs? And if so, that's not what the impact fees are designed for. The impact fees are designed for new facilities to keep up with new students and growth in the community, which we have none of that whatsoever with our children in school. Furthermore, the study predicts that we would have a 6.8% annual average rate of growth, or 6.8% growth during that 5-year period, almost 1% a year. When in fact, we have a little over 0.5% of growth per year. And if you go to Tips Bias, the consulting company that you use for the study, they actually recommend that impact fees not be imposed in a county unless they reached a 2 or 3% growth rate, which we're really, really far away from. And then to hit on some previous speakers, Mr. Hartley and Mr. Snyder, is these impact fees may be hindering the county. We may be slowing growth down. Individuals such as myself, I believe I'm one of the largest payers of impact fees in the county, or my companies are. If they continue to grow, I might pick up my operations and move them to Berkeley County. So you guys might have less impact fees collected based on volume. So that could be another potential downfall of this. Furthermore, Tips Bias also, in their study, they indicate that they project nearly 400 new dwellings per year between 2015 and 2020.
Time.
However, the study, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next individual is Lynch Christian.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, thank you. I'm Lynch Christian. I'm a developer in Jefferson County, recently entitled the Washington Landing Apartment Project across from Washington High School. I know it's technically Charlestown, but we do pay impact fees there. I'd just like to say I'll echo everybody's sentiments so far tonight that I thought the study was very poorly done. I can't imagine the justification for the increase of, over 100 students per year when the last 5 years does not reflect that in any way, shape, or form. And I'd also really encourage you guys to do exactly what Mr. Lutman suggested, take a deep critical look at this study, and I think you'll be able to poke holes in it fairly easily. The other thing I would say is that I think even if impact fees are to remain the same and not be increased, the commission needs to take a long, hard look at the affordable credit that is issued. I believe the percentage moved from 60 to 40% under the last commission. And that's made it very hard for market rate apartments to compete and be granted that coverage of a reduced fee. And, people living in apartments don't necessarily have a lot of kids in the school system and often don't take advantage of a lot of the other services that are required in the situation where you have a single family home. So I just think that even if you guys are able to poke holes in the study and you come up to the decision that you are not going to be raising impact fees, a look at that affordable housing credit needs to be on the agenda. And I think that rate has to be lifted to higher than 40% of market rate housing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Christian was our last person that had raised their hand. Is there anyone else who's interested in making public comment? Oh, we have another person. Amanda Stroud.
Hello, can you hear me? I know everybody asked that, sorry. I have a couple of questions, but I will email them because I'd like an answer. I had like an hour to go through this, so I didn't get to do a deep dive like everybody else. I do believe, though, that some of the figures are from the land of rainbows and unicorns, that they're just not very realistic. My first reaction on seeing the county administration fees was that, oh, you guys are getting your courthouse annex. Congratulations. Further reading, it says that it's not to pay for the courthouse annex, but it's to expand the planned facility. I'm not quite sure what that means. if nothing else, this pandemic has taught us that we don't need to go into our office every single solitary day to do our work. So maybe we need to rethink the courthouse annex and the county administration impact fee. For the proposed non-residential count impact fees, I like the fact that they were actually increased a bit as opposed to being their 0.5% that they were. And I suggest that they you guys reallocate the county administration impact fee for non-residential to EMS and Parks and Recreation. So take the county administrative fee and split it between EMS and Parks and Rec for the non-residential impact fees. And that's all I have. Thank you for listening, and I'm enjoying your cat, Jane. Thank you.
Very distracting, Commissioner Tapp.
Yes, well, she won't stay down, so yeah, she's quite entertained by this.
Anybody else, Stephanie?
That was our last individual.
Okay, so seeing how that's the last one for tonight, we'll leave public comment period open for 2 more weeks and receive comment via, there one more?
We just got someone who raised their hand, Joyce Garrison. Miss Garrison, you're still self-muted.
You there, ma'am?
Miss Garrison, did you want to make public comment? Still says she's self-muted. So maybe sometimes people, I think, hit it on accident. Oh, she put her hand down. So
Okay.
I think it was an accident.
So is there anybody else, or is that it? Okay, so back to what I was saying. So seeing how there's no more public comment tonight, we'll keep the public comment period open for 2 more weeks. The commission will receive written comment concerning the draft impact fee recalculation study. And then after that point in time, we will possibly hold a public workshop with the consultant and the commission so we can ask questions of the consultant and so forth. And then hopefully at some point in time in the near future, make a decision. So that'll end our meeting tonight for the public comment. Thanks for everybody watching, and I'll see you all soon.